So let's talk about the current GPU shortage. It's not the first one. I'm going to take you guys down a trip in memory lane a few years ago. The exact same thing happened, but this time it's even worse. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, Tiago here with Classical Technology. Remember to subscribe, smash that like button if you like content like this. So we all know we're in the midst of pretty much a historic GPU shortage. This has been going on ever since the RTX 3000 series GPUs were announced. At first, we didn't really know what to expect, but little did we know that coupled with all of the manufacturing issues that happened because of last year, as well as the crypto mining boom, we were going to be in for quite a ride, and many people would just flat out give up trying to buy a GPU. Now, this is not the first time that this has happened. I'm going to tell you guys a story. Some of you will be very familiar with it. Some of you that are a little bit newer to the PC and the GPU sort of building and buying scene, you may be surprised at how similar some things are, but at the end of the day, we're definitely in very, very fresh, new, and almost terrifying territory. So a few years ago, 2017, this is when Bitcoin really started to take off. And with that, people started mining all types of other coins and cryptocurrency. It really took off to a significant amount where the home gamer that typically would buy one GPU or something like that started to look at these GPUs to be able to be used for cryptocurrency mining. Now, this was during roughly the time of the 10 series in terms of Nvidia. We're talking about maybe the 1080 Ti, the 1080, 1070. Those were the most popular GPUs on the Nvidia side, and AMD was also highly popular with their RX 480 and the 580, etc. So what happened during that time is little by little the GPUs started to disappear. People were buying them literally as investments to get a return for their money, just like they are now. And the first things that you noticed is that Newegg, they didn't have any of these shuffle deals or anything like that. Newegg would have a GPU come in stock. It would last maybe a few minutes and then it would be completely sold out. One of the biggest differences was that when the 10 series Nvidia GPUs came out, there wasn't nearly as much of a sort of like people sitting at their computer and refreshing F5 as there was during the RTX 3000. Back then, the 1080 and 1080 Ti were kind of hard to get for the first few months, but then afterwards, stock was pretty readily available. This really came way after they were released. As soon as the cryptocurrency mining boom took off, it got to a point where I remember walking into my local micro center, and at one point they had no GPUs, pretty much like now, but after a few weeks they would definitely have GPUs in stock, but the prices were marked up considerably. I'm talking about like if a 1080 Ti was supposed to be $700 or $800, you would see them for $1,400 or $1,500. Now, back then in 2017, these prices were pretty outrageous, because now we're used to seeing 3090s and even 3080 Ti's go way beyond that price bracket. But back then, if you bought a $1,400 or $1,500 GPU, that would be like a Titan level GPU. That would be a professional grade GPU, much different level than gaming GPUs. We understood in 2017 as gamers that pretty much the top of the line would be maybe a 1080 Ti at $700 or $800 if you bought a third-party model. So to have to pay twice that, $1,400, $1,500, definitely uncharted territory. And to see those prices not from a scalper, but from a retailer was even more shocking. They pretty much wanted to send a message, okay, if you want to buy a GPU, if you're a miner, you're going to have to pay an exorbitant amount. If you're a gamer, well, kind of too bad. You're not really going to be able to get your hands on these GPUs at all. So that actually went on for quite a while in 2017. Now, the GPUs on the secondhand market were reaching, of course, prices much higher than they originally were with their MSRP, but nothing back then compares to what happened now, with something like a 3080 going for over $2,000, which is literally 3 times its MSRP. Things certainly did not get that bad back then. So what happened? After a while, as we all know, cryptocurrency, the mining boom, had a pretty significant collapse, meaning that all of a sudden the market was flooded with used GPUs. I mean, I remember seeing everything from Vega 56, Vega 64 for under like $200. Even like 1070s were extremely cheap. 1080 Ti's for the first time went down a significant amount. I think they went down to like $300 or $400. After the price crashed and people stopped mining, everybody that had them, most most people, except some really dedicated operations that decided to mine right through the next few years, got rid of them, and they pretty much flooded the market, and gamers were actually very happy. The one party that wasn't very happy was Nvidia. When the 20 series came out, primarily the 2080 Ti, they were still great GPUs, but the performance wasn't that much different than something like a 1080 Ti. Not only that, 1080 Ti's were abundantly available on the market because of this very same crypto crash, meaning that Nvidia had a very hard time selling any 20 series at all. Even the 2060 and the 2070, which were the more mid-range GPUs, oftentimes gamers would look at an older 1080 and prefer to buy something like that at a significant discount, especially on the secondhand market. Now, that's why Nvidia has most likely decided to make some of these light hash rate GPUs. That way they don't have the same problem with miners dumping all of these gaming cards on the market, where gamers would buy them up, and then whenever Nvidia releases a new GPU, they're not really going to want to buy their new products because the existing supply is enough not only for their gaming performing needs, but it's enough. The budget is going to be a lot easier to deal with. They're often going to be cheaper because they're secondhand, and if it's after sort of a crypto crash, they're going to be significantly cheaper than they are, for example, now. So that's a really big point of contention. That's why a lot of stuff that Nvidia does now with light hash rate GPUs and trying to have mining specific GPUs where they can't be sold to gamers later, that all sort of protects Nvidia from another crash that happened in 2017. And they had a lot of issues because of that. They had to sort of answer to their shareholders about how big the cryptocurrency market actually is. So that's significant. Basically, the market went up. Everybody bought mining GPUs. There was a pretty quick and brutal collapse of the cryptocurrency mining scene, and GPUs flooded the market. That affected the entire 20 series generation. Now, by the time we got to the RTX 3000, a lot of those people had skipped 20 series generation, and they saw the 3080, for example, at $699, and it performed tremendously well for that particular price. Everybody wanted to upgrade to this new generation. Not only that, not only was the hardware actually good this generation, now cryptocurrency mining came back with a vengeance, reaching historic numbers that we didn't even see back in 2017. Ever since last year, this has been primarily one of the biggest movers and motivators for the GPU market being not only completely out of stock, but where stock is available, prices are outrageously high, going past even high numbers that we saw in 2017. So that's where we stand now. Pretty much we're at the peak almost of one of the biggest cryptocurrency mining booms ever. Now, where are we going to go from here? It can pretty much go three ways, in my opinion. The first way is similar to 2017. You're going to have a pretty major collapse of whatever coin is being mined, and GPUs are going to flood the market. This can happen due to the price of something like Ethereum, or if the changes are more significant with Ethereum itself, like with proof of stake versus proof of work, that's definitely going to change. And if they don't find another coin to supplement the mining with, you could see a pretty major collapse. The second thing that may happen, it may just be sort of lukewarm. The things may stay kind of like they are now, and we may be in this situation for months and maybe even years to come without actually a crash happening, but without a major boom. We'll just sort of be in that game where gamers are competing with miners pretty much like we're doing now, pretty much for the entire year. And then, of course, the third thing that can happen is that it just keeps on taking off. Maybe, a new coin replaces Ethereum after those changes make it not as good for mining. And GPUs, like I said in my previous video, people are stopping looking at GPUs as being like frames per second and ray tracing and gaming enjoyment, and they're starting to look at GPUs as being, okay, what's the hash rate on this GPU? I know when I posted a really cool W6800X Dual that has 2 GPU chips in one, I thought people were going to say, oh, can it run Crysis like they usually do? But that wasn't the first question. People's first question was, what's the mining hash rate? So you see how the mentality is changing from sort of focused on gamers to now sort of as almost a business product. So that's something, if cryptocurrency stays strong like it is and it goes up, we're going to have to find a way for it to coexist with the gaming market. I'm not sure if these divisions that Nvidia are trying to put in place, like light hash rate GPUs versus crypto mining GPUs, ultimately is the answer, but at least it does seem to help a little bit, and certainly something must be done, or else the PC building market certainly is going to be in for quite a bumpy ride for the next several years. All right, guys, so I just wanted to go over some of the history for those that maybe weren't around in 2017 in this sort of market. Certainly things are still pretty bad now, but in 2017, it didn't look good either when we were in the middle of it. So we're going to see what happens. The good news is at least we have really powerful hardware at the end of the day. So hopefully when things balance themselves out, both gamers and if miners are still in existence, hopefully something can be done to separate that market so that each party can be happy doing whatever that they're doing. And at the end of the day, to sort of save PC gaming and make sure that it stays strong, because in my opinion, it's one of the most enjoyable ways to spend your time as a hobby and as sort of a fun activity. All right, guys, so remember to subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video.